Welcome in, everybody. What's going on? My name's Zerback47. I usually stream World of Warships every Friday, Saturday, and now Sunday on Twitch. Today, we're going to be covering some of the new AA changes that were introduced here in the latest patch for World of Warships. So there's a couple new icons, some different things that are just kind of look different and act different and do different things. So we're going to do the best we can, kind of take some of the confusion out of everything that we're working on right now. So the first thing that I want to come over here is if we go into your equipment tab, and I have the Holland selected for a reason. There's a couple different reasons why I have the Holland selected, and we're going to go over some of this stuff here in just a little bit. But as you can see, we're looking at the equipment and the consumables, and we no longer have defensive AA. It appears that they replaced it with this auxiliary and torpedo weapons coordination module. So what does this do? How is this any different? How is it better? How is it worse? What is this thing compared to defensive AA? Well, any ship that had defensive AA at one point in time has now been replaced with this auxiliary and torpedo weapons coordination consumable. Okay, something to notice, you do have a limited amount of charges on this. So ships like the Atlanta, okay, that previously had unlimited charges of defensive A no longer have unlimited charges. They are limited. So just understand that you're going to have to use these in a little bit more of a tactful manner. So how is this different from the defensive AA? How can you benefit from it? Well, the good news is here, a lot of different ships, regardless of what class of ship you're playing, benefit from this in many different ways. Now, I have the Holland selected, and let's go through this. I've been having this on screen for a while. I'm sure you could read it, but we'll go through this. What does this consumable do? Accelerates concentrated AA fire progress gains and improves the effectiveness of auxiliary and torpedo armament. So what is accelerates concentrated AA fire? What is that? That's a new term. I haven't really heard that before either, right? So before we kind of dive into the weeds of what this new consumable does, let's first explain one of the other changes that they made with AA mechanics is they replaced the priority sector with a system called AA Defense Priority. Instead of hitting the tilty key or the O key and have a boost your AA off of one side of the ship, it now boosts your AA in a 360 degree around your ship, which is super nice too, because more times than not, I found myself fat fingering that key, looking off the wrong side of the ship, select it, and the planes change course and go off the side that wasn't selected. So that's no longer a factor. What are the differences between the old priority sector and this new AA defensive priority compared to the values of what they were before? The old system, every time you would prox that priority sector, you would get a 10% buff to your AA, okay? A one-time 10% buff to your AA. The new system here with this concentrated AA fire, you now get out of a DD, you get a 5% increase of damage that resets itself every 5 seconds. So instead of a 10% increase, a one-time 10% increase, it now gives you a 5% increase, and it keeps resetting up to that 5% every 5 seconds that it's active. So you actually do more damage over time with your AA. Now, all other ship classes get a 3.5% buff to your AA every 5 seconds with the new system. So something to take note of right there. Those are some values that change. You actually do more damage over time with the new system with this defensive AA priority. Okay, now that we kind of explained that a little bit. So what does this do? Whenever you pop this auxiliary torpedo weapons coordination consumable, it would buff your ship in whatever manner that it applies for whatever you're driving. Okay, there's 4 things that it does depending on what you're driving. It can reduce your airstrike armament reload time if you were playing a Dutch ship, such as the Tromp, Provincia, Gulen Lu. All right, all these ships that had defensive AA now have this consumable, and that reduces your reload time on your airdrops by 20%. If you have a ship that is this equipped and it runs torpedoes like the Holland, it would give you a torpedo tube reload time reduction of 20%, which is super great, right? It takes approximately six seconds or so off of your reload time for your torps whenever you activate this consumable. If you're running a ship that you have tricked out in a secondaries and you pop this, it would give you a 10% secondary battery damage increase to your secondary battery armament, right? The other mechanic, and this is across the board and it applies to pretty much any ship that's in the game that has AA, it'll increase your concentrated IR progress per second. Now, that again is a third new mechanic that they kind of introduced. Let's talk about this for a second too. Concentrated AA fire progress per second. What the heck is that, right? Okay, well, that's another thing that was introduced, and we'll explain and showcase all this stuff here when we get into the training room. What this new module does, this new equipment slot does, is it replaces the old defensive AA and buffs your ship up to 4 different ways. Not only does it increase what your AA is capable of, it also helps buff the other characteristics of your ship as well. It's much better than what we had with the defensive AA. And the cool part about this is you can select this at any time, right? This isn't something that has to build up. This isn't something that has to work for. It's a consumable that works like any other consumable. Once it's available, you can prox it, hit the associated key binding, and use this consumable. Now, how does the Holland benefit from this? Okay, well, the Holland is one of the DDs in the game that is known for having very good AA. So when you get a concentrated AA fire progress per second buff by using this consumable, your progress bar will tick up faster, right? When this is activated by 1.2%. The other way that this buffs your ship is your torp reload, right? The Talon is pretty much a dedicated torpedo boat. Has some of the fastest torpedoes in the game, 15-kilometer torps. They do like 85 to 95 knots, and the torp reload really isn't that bad. So every time you practice a consumable, not only are you getting a buff to your progress bar, your combat instruction, you're getting a buff to the torp reload as well, which is super cool. What other ships stand out that would actually benefit from that mechanic really well? What comes to my mind here is the Golden Lou, right? Let's go ahead and put this on screen real quick. It's a Dutch heavy cruiser, the tier 10. Okay, how would this improve this ship, right? Well, again, it's going to improve it in 2 different ways. You're going to get an airstrike armament reload time reduction, right? So your airstrikes are going to be coming up quicker. Combine that with like a legendary mod, and you can just raffle off planes like crazy with this thing. The other way that it would benefit the ship is it increases the speed in which your progress bar, your concentrated AA fire progress per second, ticks up, right? So whenever you procs this skill, it gets you your planes faster, right? So you can use your airstrikes more quicker. So that's another ship that where it benefits really well. So you got basically 3 different mechanics. They are separate mechanics and they are kind of working together. Let's get into a training room here. All right, okay. So we got some things under screen here. We selected the Farragut. The Farragut isn't known for having like crazy good AA, and that's kind of the point. It's not bad. It's not horrible. It's not great either, right? It's just a DD with AA. AA range on this thing, let's see here. What does the AA go out to? 5.8 kilometers. Okay, I have my AA on. We got RPF, so I'm just going to kind of sail on range of Kilo. Kilo's not going to actively try to destroy me. We're just going to show what this stuff does. All right, so we got some planes in the air. He's flying around me. I do have my AA on. I'm going to hit a button here. Bang! What happened, chat? What even is this? We got 360-degree coverage on our AA, right? We can see it ran for about 5 or 6 seconds, whatever it may be, and it covers 360. The old priority sector is being replaced by that mechanic called AA defensive priority. Now, if you look at something else here on the stream, as Kilo kind of hovers over the top of me in a carrier, we have this progress bar that's ticking up, right? What is this thing? This is called concentrated AA fire. What does it do? Continuous AA damage, boosts it by 50%. Damage from all AA shell explosions, it adds another 100% to your damage, right? So that's just a massive buff. Gives you a really, really good chance to do some damage to your carrier. All right, so how do we use that? We got that on skill. What is this thing? We're going to go ahead and activate it. Now, I rebound this to my spacebar key so I don't have to take my hands off my steering. As you can see, I'm continuing to steer my ship. To activate that skill, I have to press and hold whatever key that you have bound to activate that. It'll either be the tilde key or the O key, the same key that you would use to prop your defensive AA priority. Okay, now I'm holding this down. As you can see, this is giving me a pretty good buff to my AA, and I'm doing a little bit more damage over time. Now notice, you cannot run this at the same time as your defensive AA priority. You can't do it. They won't work together. So I'm just kind of pressing and holding the space bar. I rebound that key to my space bar so I can go ahead and use these mechanics at the same time I steer my boat, right? I can accelerate, I can decelerate, and I don't have to take my hands off the controls to do it. So I highly recommend rebinding that skill to your space bar or possibly your shift key so you don't have to take your hands off your steering, the ASWD keys to use that mechanic. Okay, so now we got Kilo back in range here. Go ahead and fly at me. I want to showcase this new mechanic. All right, let's go ahead and use this auxiliary and torpedo weapons coordination. Let's go ahead and prox that. Whoa, look at this. We got actually a buff to our speed of our concentrated AA. That's regenerating faster, right? It's already available, so let's press and hold down, and you could hear the audible, right? You could hear it click in, and now we got our tracers actually turned a different color. It looks more like it did before with defensive AA, even though now they're calling it newer consumable. Okay, so this combat instruction, this new combat instruction works very similar to defensive AA once did. It's basically doing the same thing here. And you notice here too, it's working on off at either side of the ship. It really doesn't matter which way we're pointing. All right, now everything's on cooldown here. We're gonna let Kilo kind of reset his, throw another squadron at me here. There you go. Just come up with a new squadron. We're going to drive towards this carrier. So it doesn't matter which way I use my nose if I didn't want to use that consumable. Right now it's on cooldown. Let's go ahead and just tap the binding, the key binding that I have associated with it. Stock is the tilde key or the O key. I have it switched to my spacebar. As you can see, we got 360-degree coverage, and it's a buff to your AA. All right, works exactly like the priority sector did, with an increased damage over time and a 360-degree coverage. Now, you can see here that my concentrated AA fire consumable is available, so let's press and hold the space bar key. Voila! It activated my concentrated fire, right? And I can take my hands off of it once it's activated, once it's pressed. It's just a long press. Okay, once it activates, you're good to go, and you can just let it do its thing. And this works identical to the way defensive AA priority worked before. So I hope this kind of takes some of the confusion out of these newer mechanics, chat. They're there, they're available to use. Right now, the Y key is available again, so let's go ahead and prop the auxiliary torpedo weapons coordination. So my a lot of words here. Concentrated AA regenerates a little faster, right? So let's just let that regenerate a little bit faster. That consumable's running. We got 13 seconds of it. Once it becomes available again, I can press and hold my space bar key because I have it rebound to that, and voila, we got our what is essentially our defensive AA running again, right? Kind of cool. It works in a different way, but the difference between the defensive AA consumable that we had before compared to what we have now is it buffs your ships in multiple different ways. Not only does it just buff your AA, it buffs your torpedo reload speed. In my case, right, if you were running this on a ship that had a secondary build, okay, it would increase the damage of your secondaries. So there's a lot of different uses here for this mechanic. I really like that. It's more flexible. It's more flexible in ships like the DDs, like myself. Let's see, I'm not going to try to actively kill Kilo, but I can go ahead and fire my torps. Once this becomes available, I can prox that at any time. It doesn't have to be when my AA is running. I can prox that and automatically get a 20-second reduction off my torpedo reload time. So there's multiple different uses for it here. Kilo, are you driving forward? I think I'm actually going to torp you. I tried to miss you. Slam on your brakes. Slam on your brakes. Slam on your brakes. Okay, there we go. We're good. So there's multiple different uses for this newer mechanic, and it really is a better system. No matter what way you look at it here, it really is a better system because it buffs your ships in multiple different ways. As you can see here too, the concentrated AA, once it regenerates to full, you don't lose it until you use it. Does that make sense? So I don't have to use it right now if I don't want to, which would work handy if a carrier's just going to fly in and out of your AA real quick. There's no sense of proxing that. But if he's going to continuously focus you, let's press and hold the space bar. We get the audible that it worked. Now we can take our hands off of it, and it's going to run for the duration of the mechanic. Super simple, guys. It's really not complicated. I could seriously teach a 5-year-old how to work all this stuff. It's kind of a lot to take in. They did add some more things here, but it's absolutely buffing your ship in multiple different ways. So, you know, we're doing pretty good here as a Farragut. So I hope this kind of explains some of these mechanics, chat. If you like this kind of content, if you enjoy this kind of content, be sure to subscribe to me on YouTube. Follow me on Twitch. We are currently filming this live on Twitch, which is super cool. I stream every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on Twitch. Links to my channel will be in the description below. But everybody, thank you so much for watching. Kilo, put that cheeky drop in there. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll hope to see you on the next video. Leave me a comment if you think this stuff is helpful. If you still are confused about anything, by all means, leave a comment in the section below. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. And tell me, what do you like about it? What don't you like about it? If there's something that you would like to see different, I mean, give me some feedback. All right, everybody, good to see you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.